Hello and welcome everyone to episode 70 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
Doing pretty good. I'm, of course, Brandon Bovia, the letterer of manga like Dragon Ball Super, Kaiju number 8. One thing that got announced, I think as we're recording this, it would have been like the previous Friday, so I guess it was the day Zelda came out. I'm working on a Star Wars manga.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's a straight-up adaptation of The Mandalorian.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I put a lot of hard work into it. It comes out in September, I believe.
Very cool.
Check that out. I definitely, as I put in my kind of announcement tweet for it, I got to work on Gundam and Star Wars in the same year. So as far as sci-fi properties from the 70s are concerned, I feel like I'm all covered. Yeah,
no kidding. I mean, it's manga, so they'll find some way to make Grogu even cuter.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's like the not to spoil things for folks because the first volume's been out in Japan for a hot minute, but the entire first volume is the first episode.
Oh wow.
The show.
Yeah, so into it.
It doesn't feel slow, but it doesn't feel too, like the pacing feels just right, but it's also like, oh god.
We're gonna be here a while.
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea how long it's gonna go for, but yeah.
Well, speaking of gonna be here a while, we have officially reached our next arc, Water 7, and this is a major one. This is it feels like, I can tell you right now that this is considered one of the best arcs in all of One Piece.
I think it is the best.
There you go. I remember loving it when I first watched it, and this is also the point where I switched to the manga, because where I was watching the fan subs, they caught up, and I was like they basically, I think this is around this point that Kaizoku fan sub sort of died and sort of stopped. They just weren't putting out anymore, and I'm like, no, I'm switching to the manga. I got to see how this goes, and just loving it.
Yeah, God, imagine having to. What a horrible place to stop.
Yeah. So I got to, I read this in the manga, and I remember certain things, but honestly, I'm still a little fuzzy on the minute details, which is a common case for us in all this.
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned this while we weren't recording, but I rewatched the anime version of this arc with the dub. God, probably like a year, maybe 2 years ago. So I think this should be pretty fresh in my mind, but like we'll see. This might be the only time I get to say that.
Okay. We'll see how it all goes, but let's go ahead and get to it, because we got to wrap up the Longland arc with chapter 321, 1-on-1. And welcome to Gidatsu's gimmick.
Yeah. He's bad at holding down a job.
Yeah. He's trying to eat by sticking his sandwich in his ear.
And that's just it. That's the joke.
Yeah.
That's what all of these are. That's it. It's just that kind of level of weirdness. It doesn't land.
Yeah,
for me.
it's his gimmick. He doesn't know how he does it. It's like it's like supposed to be funny, but it's not. That's the thing.
How does he function?
I don't know. Like, Gidatsu just never came across, as we said before, has never come across as a lovable character. And I almost wonder, like, we'll see how it all turns out, but I'm kind of afraid that this might turn out worse than Wapples.
Wapples, at least, like, it took an interesting turn, and I liked seeing him suffer.
Yeah, there was that aspect. Like, it also started out with, I'm eating these things, I'm doing these things, and that's sort of where we're at right now with Gidatsu.
See, yeah, that's the thing, though, is that, like, that sort of, like, major feeling is based off of, having read, the arc that that Wapple was from.
Yeah. Drum Island,
like, Drum Island, God, why couldn't think of that? But, like, after that experience, you're just like, man, this guy sucks. Like, in no uncertain terms. But like, because the vassals in Skypiea just are all kind of nothing characters, it's like I'm not really invested. Like, if this turns out like, oh, like, don't you feel bad for Gidatsu for going through it? It's like, no, not really.
No.
Do I really want to see him succeed? No, not really.
No, he is just sort of there.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it. A much more interesting chapter, because this is probably one of our most serious chapters in a while.
Yeah,
it is just pure panic to start with, and not the fun panic that we often have.
Yeah, it's just like Chopper and Usopp just straight up yelling at each other.
Yeah, Chopper's like, I've never seen a person completely frozen. Is like, hey, you're the ship's doctor. Help this. No one else will save her if you fall apart. And he's like, I know that. Shut up. And they're just working together.
Yeah, the way you're seeing everybody kind of operate under pressure here, and it's like you're seeing just even in a goofy little manga like this, where and we'll see very soon, like they still have the capability to goof off, but like I think it's important that Oda just like shows these characters under pressure in a very serious situation where they all have to work together, like in the same spot. They're not split up like they are in like Alabasta and parts of Skypiea and stuff. It's like it's just fight Aokiji or survive basically and try to thaw Robin.
The bath is already being taken up by Robin, and they have to like, Chopper's like, hey, to do something about your frozen arms and legs, you have to warm them up. But she's in the shower right now, and the two of them are basically like, let's just jump in the ocean, get it there and get ourselves fixed up. Chopper's just like, hey, after you melt the ice at the low temperature, keep rubbing the parts affected and come on board. And they're just like, why are you guys here? Where's Luffy?
And just straight up, I think very important words here, from Sanji, that it was the captain's orders, that kind of immediate confidence. And, even though Usopp is here, like, questioning it, but I think it is sort of like that. Sanji even, kind of grabbing Usopp by his shirt. Just, he said one-on-one, don't you understand that? Like,
yeah. Because Usopp is in full, like, serious panic mode. He's calling them cowards for not helping out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's...
Yeah, it is
it
straight
is
up
pure stress. And Zoro points out it's a crucial time for the crew. Whether he did it on whim or not, just be prepared for the worst. And we go back to Luffy, and he's already partially frozen. And he's able to kick Aokiji away and tries his Gum Storm,
which this is the same move that he beat Crocodile with.
Yep.
For the record,
and it does nothing. He just kind of hugs Luffy and freezes him in place with Ice Time.
I love how simple Aokiji's attack names are. Ice Age, Ice Time.
Yeah, he's lazy.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's it. The fight's over. It barely lasted a page and a half.
Luffy lost.
Yeah.
Straight up. Yeah.
Straight up.
Done.
But
yeah.
Luffy... and this is another important part about never knowing Luffy's thoughts, because what Luffy said is, let's settle this between you and me. And Aokiji's like, you got me. Because I agreed to a one-on-one fight, I win, that's it. But if I lay a hand on the others, I'll be breaking my word. And he's sort of wondering, like, is that what your intention was? Or did you really think you could beat me? And we don't know. Like, did Luffy think that far ahead, that he knew by saying that Aokiji, because he helped the old man, would stick to his word on that? Or did he just get lucky that Aokiji is like that? Yeah,
God, I feel like probably a little of column A, a little of column B, but yeah, I definitely think it is important that like there isn't any sort of like, we have to stop and show exactly what Luffy's thought process is for this. It's just like, he's already, like somebody who acts completely on impulse, but it is sort of, I think, an interesting reflection of Aokiji's character himself, that he can kind of stop and go like,
it's like, dang it, you got my honor, sort of like that. It's like, I did promise, and I did keep a promise, but hey, you are with that woman. She's going to be more than you can handle, and you're not going to be able to change her brutal personality.
Which, God, that's ominous.
Oh, it is so ominous, because we just get intercut with all of them trying to get Robin unfrozen and conscious again. And Zoro and Sanji are heading back, and we get Aokiji stepping up to kick Luffy and break him apart, and it looks like he does it. I honestly did before I looked at the next page, and it's like, he just shattered some other ice. It's like, I could shatter you right here, kill you effortlessly, but you took care of Crocodile, so we're even.
Which is, that is such an interesting, like, I guess, like, unintended consequences, or like the consequences of defeating Crocodile are they're still playing out, and they have sort of like consequences that aren't immediately shown to the reader. I think that it's sort of a cool little like, you know what, this is kind of important. You know, I guess it's like the acknowledgement that like, yeah, that crocodile thing was kind of bad.
Yeah.
So
it is also funny. It's like, I don't feel like giving you Smooker's message. Whatever. Bye.
what was the message again? I kind of forgot.
I don't know if we ever...
Or did we not see that?
I don't think we saw it.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
Huh.
Yeah. Sanji and Zoro arrive, and they're just grateful that he hasn't been pulverized. Aokiji gets on his bike and is like, oh, according to this, the next city they're going towards is Water 7. And they'll be close to headquarters there.
Yeah, wow. That feels like an important detail.
Yeah, it's like, that doesn't seem so good. But there he goes, using his ice powers to cross the waves, which is really, that's cool. I'm sorry, that's cool.
Yeah, it's just neat.
But Chopper comes out and just says, both their hearts are beating, they're okay. But, don't go in yet. Let's get them warm up and then take it nice and slow. And they're like, let's just stay here for the night. And Usopp finally collapses like, are guys as powerful as that going to be coming after us from now on? And all I did was run around.
Imagine that.
Yeah. He's getting introspective Usopp again. Like, what? That's sort of like, what good am I sort of thing.
Yeah.
And Robin, we end with Robin waking up and just sort of staring ahead. It's a strangely somber chapter. Like
it really is. Yeah. Like it's kind of a like not that dark, but kind of a low point for the crew. It just sort of, they got lucky, basically, is what happened.
I think this is absolutely the lowest point for the crew that we've seen up to this point.
They got beat. That was, then Admiral showed up and just completely decimated them.
There was no hope there. No chance, no hope. And they realized that they didn't have that faith that Luffy could take out Crocodile like they'd had before.
Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's something else.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I think about the words that Aokiji said when like on that last page of Robin waking up, and it's just kind of like there's just so much mystery around who this character is right now, and it's just like
what is Robin's deal?
Yeah, and you're setting up for that. That's what we're doing.
Yep. So let's move on to 322, Puffing Tom, and Gadatsu not remembering to blink. Anyway, moving on.
Yep.
There's really not much more to say beyond that.
That's it.
But I think this chapter serves as a good way to reset everybody. This is the official start of our Water 7 arc. They got them needed time to recover. They stayed at Long Ring, Long Land for 4 days before setting sail. It's already the third day at sea, so it's basically been a week. And it's just like, it's kind of nice. Nami's sunbathing. Sanji's making some food for her. Zoro's sleeping like always. And Luffy is definitely back to himself by imitating what he was like when he was frozen.
I feel like we needed a little bit of levity after the last chapter. It's just like, oh boy, that was a little bit heavy. So here comes Luffy just already making fun of himself.
Yeah, it's just like, we need to reset. We need to get everybody back on happy terms again. And it's like, it's okay to laugh. It's okay to laugh. So they're all back in a good mood.
And even Robin's feeling better.
Yeah, Robin comes out, has a smile, thanks to Doctor. And it's just like, hey, don't overdo it. I know you might feel pressure to get up, but especially since this guy's already doing, Luffy's already doing all this, but you're not the same as him. He's a freak.
He's got a point.
So she gets some coffee. The others start eating that Pompele or whatever that Sanji made, enjoying that. And all of a sudden they see a giant frog doing the freestyle crawl in the water.
And I love that Usopp's just like, don't be a doofus, Luffy. The frogs can't do that. It's like, oh, he totally is.
And I like how the inspiration is, let's follow it. And why? We're going to eat it.
Yeah.
I want to eat that frog. And as they're following it, they come across a lighthouse. And they're like, what's a lighthouse doing out here? And they're following after it. And it's like, what's going on here? Because there's some weird sound happening. And they get close to it when all of a sudden they seem to be run aground, I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah. And they're like, back up, get out of the way, because all of a sudden we get a 2-page spread of a train about to hit them.
They're like, the fact that they're able to like rotate the ship that quickly.
Impressive. Like, I actually thought the back end of the Mary got hit.
Yeah, just like God, it's such a close call. And and I love this 2-page spread, and just like there was no indication that this world had trains, I think.
No, there doesn't seem to be at all. We've not really seen much of land to have that be a thing.
That's true. And the fact that it's in the middle of the ocean raises some questions.
It's also massive, because I didn't think about this at the time, but it's bigger than the Mary, like height-wise.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
I don't think, even watching the anime, I feel like I didn't have that quite of a sense of scale of the train, or at least it didn't feel that big. But here in this shot, it looks huge.
Yeah,
so I wonder if that'll be a thing going forward.
I mean, a lot of things have just been bigger than the Mary. Like, it is a
that's also true.
But the turns out the frog is waiting on the tracks, lets out a big ribbit, and gets blasted away.
Just bonk.
Just bonked away, and there it goes. And they're just like, what the heck happened? What kind of ship was that?
You're right. Like, what? Oh.
Yep. All of a sudden we get this little girl like, oh, hey, pirates. All right, I'll be out. Just to her grandmother.
Yeah. I do love that, as we'll see in the next couple of chapters, just like the folks here, just like, oh, pirates. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, nobody cares. It's just like, pirates. Sure.
Yep.
And she's a little drunk, it seems, a little tipsy.
Yeah.
But we get introduced. We get Chimney, the little girl, Kokoro, the station master. She's the grandmother of Chimney. And Ganbei, Chimney's cat. That's actually a rabbit and meows.
Yeah, but the rabbit meow. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna get so confused.
Yeah. It's not too important, but...
No. I do love Kokoro is such a laid-back character that I can't help but like her. And just the way that she, I hope you guys aren't train robbers, and she just laughing it off. Too drunk to care.
Fun.
Yeah.
Like, they're weird designs, but I like how you can tell they're related just because of the lipstick designs.
Yeah, and they have the similar like pigtails.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it because I just looked like one full head of hair because of the hat.
Yeah. At least that's my interpretation of Kokoro.
I think you're right.
I don't actually know. It could just be the angle. But
either way, we get a little bit of a breakdown. It's like, yeah, that's not a ship. That's a steam train known as Puffing Tom. Uses steam to rotate the paddles over the tracks, and you can see the tracks just beneath the water here.
Yeah, which is an interesting idea.
Yeah, it's really funny because I actually had like a story of my own, like I was thinking of, that I wanted to try to like start with that idea of somebody just finding themselves on it's from the younger days. I've not done anything with it on the tracks, but I'm pretty sure I read this before I even came up with that concept. And I don't think about the Puffing Tom like that often, but some part of it must have stuck with me. Like, it's just a cool concept of a train going over water.
Trains in places they shouldn't be are cool.
That is true. That is true. But we get the breakdown where it circles the same places every day, taking riders from island to island. It'll even haul boats and deliver mail. It's usually partitioned off, so don't really want to be on that. And it's like Luffy's like, all right, there was a frog here and it got blasted away. That was cruel. Oh, that was Yokozuna. He caused the problems because he wants to test his strength against it.
Jesus Christ, this frog.
Explains all the scars, and at that point Luffy's like, wow, that's cool. I'm not going to eat him anymore.
Luffy, the Yokozuna has earned Luffy's respect, and he's no longer wants to eat him. Of course, I did some looking up for this because I knew like Yokozuna was a sumo wrestling term. And of course, there's a famous American wrestler who went by that stage name. But apparently a Yokozuna is like the highest rank in sumo wrestling in Japan. So
that's pretty cool. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I have to imagine Kokoro is a train pun of some sort because you got Chimney.
Yeah. Kokoro literally means heart, but I don't know how that. Well, I guess it could be because of the heart-shaped lips.
Oh yeah, it could be that
I
as
guess
well.
that's I hadn't made that connection. Well, that's probably why. But
Yeah,
there's probably some other pun I'm missing.
yeah. There's always puns and
Yeah.
all that.
I try to catch him when I can.
But they don't like Yokozuna because he keeps breaking the rail guards and freaks out the customers.
Which, I mean, to be fair.
I mean, if I saw us speeding towards a frog, I'd be a little worried.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they have some destinations they could go thanks to the sea train, Puffing Tom. We got St. Poplar, the town of the Spring Queen, Pucci, the gourmet city, or the carnival town of San Faldo. If you're involved in with the government, there's another special train they could take as well, which didn't realize that one at first, but I was also
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's an interesting line to put here.
Yeah. And Luffy immediately says, gourmet city. Is like, no, we're just going to stick to the log. Besides, we can't board the train because we have our ship. And you're like, oh, so where are you headed? Oh, you're north. So that's Water 7. I actually just came from there. It is the city of water, and it's a bustling city known for the shipbuilding industry, which immediately catches their attention because that's where the world's best shipwrights are all gathered.
Yeah.
All right, let's go find ourselves a carpenter.
And I think an interesting detail also is that Kokoro mentions that the ships built there are also under a commission by no less than the world government. So it seems like there's a lot of world government involvement in whatever is just kind of in this general location.
Yeah, we've got that from Aokiji, and we got even more confirmation thanks to Kokoro. Like, they are really close to something involving the world government.
Yeah, but if they must be the best shipwrights in the world if they are, like I imagine the kinds of like Navy ships and whatnot that must be kind of have to be built there under very specific specification.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But it also, there's a part of me that's like, well, that's really convenient. They needed a carpenter and they found a town where there's a bunch of world-class carpenters.
Yeah. Hey, if they really wanted one, they could have taken one from Foxy's crew.
That is true. That is true. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to chapter 323, The City of Water, Water 7. And I really did not need this chapter page and see a naked Gidatsu.
Good gravy. He's naked.
Yeah. It's just, no, thank you.
No, Otis, he's messing with us. He's trolling us.
Yeah, he totally is. Either way, we get into the chapter itself, and Kokoro offers them one last little thing: a map of the island and a letter of introduction to have them fix up the ship. Try not to get lost because Water 7 is a massive town. And hey, if we meet again, she'll treat us to a drink. So
yeah, and hey, it sounds like the log will take a week for Water 7, so they've got time.
Yeah, take it easy. They got their destination, and we leave our new friends, I guess, or just new acquaintances.
Yeah.
At the very least.
I love that Kokoro's like, watch out for the government, people.
Yeah, it's probably good advice. But yeah, we got more narration of just everybody heading out to find this Water 7 and get their new crewmate. They're discussing what kind of carpenter they want. Like what kind of person would they want? Sanji's like, I want a beauty. And Luffy's like, no, it's a carpenter. It's got to be a big mountain of a man about 5 meters tall.
Jeez. Skipping ahead a little bit, I love Luffy's crappy drawing on the next page.
It's just a bad drawing of a person. Carpenter, 5 meters. That's it. It's like, that's what I want. Nami's just sort of ignoring it part. He's like, it's a good thing we have a map drawn for us. So let's go here. And the map is about as good as Luffy's drawings.
Yeah, it seems like Kokoro is about at the same level of an artist.
Yep. They're just all sort of making fun. They're being their usual silly selves. And we just get this, again, interesting view of Robin, just watching them sort of smiling to herself. And it's like, what are the thoughts there anymore? Because it used to be just my amusement with that. But now it's like, is there something more? Because we don't really see Robin's thoughts anymore. I mean, she hasn't really commented on anything. I feel like the encounter with Aokiji is probably affected her. It's still probably kind of shaken up by that in a big way. Yeah, I think so. She's just sort of taking it as it comes. But yeah. But hey, Nami actually hands out allowance for everybody for their 1 week stay. And Usopp is showing appreciation to the Mary because, all this patchwork, ever since they got onto the Grand Line, it's had a rough time, which, boy, have we seen.
She's been through a lot, man.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Mary.
And, like, the deck creaks, the leaks, the leaks in the bilge are pretty bad. It's like, we have lots of money now. We can make her as good as new. We can even make her better than new with more cannons and a bronze statue.
Of course, the bronze statue is very important.
Very important. But eventually, they finally come across Water 7, and they're just all marveling at it.
Yeah, and I mean, look at that spread on the next page. It's
cool.
Is this the best? It's the best One Piece location. I think it is. It's like Venice if it was big and multi-layered.
Huge multi-layered fountain Venice.
Yeah, oh man.
There's just something really cool about this place.
Yeah, and the way we're going to be kind of playing tourist for the next couple chapters, and I'm just all of this juicy world building. Whenever we get to a new location in One Piece, it's always just fascinating world building. But I think these scenes in Water 7 are just, I don't know, they're it's like candy to me.
It's very much like Oda's found his groove here is ever since Skypiea, we got all those introductions to the new concepts of Skypiea, and now we get the new place. Here's how this place works.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, come on board the tour.
And they see the station where Puffing Tom had left, but a fisherman points out, is like, hey, you're pirates, and you'll get in trouble if you enter from the front. So go around to the other side. You don't want to get in trouble. It's like, oh, thank you.
Again, I love that everybody's just helpful. They're like, hey, you pirates, don't come in here. And you'll want to go that way.
Yep. And we got Robin with some information telling us that the foundation of the town is built under the water's surface because we can see some pillars there. And that's why it's called the City of Water. And they just keep getting directions from people. It's like, you're here looking for loot. It's like, no, we just want to get our ship repaired. And it's like, wait, is it normal for us to get asked that? Oh, it's like, there's a cape. Go to the cape and drop anchor there. It'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Just so many helpful people. And boy, showing how rough shape the Mary's in is that they go to put down the sail again, and Zoro pulls, and it just kind of breaks it, snaps it, and put in pieces.
Oh, I feel the Mary's pain. Just in all the different ways, it's just breaking apart.
Even Zoro's like, man, I didn't realize the Going Mary was in that bad of condition.
Yeah.
So, good thing they're here, and so. Man, it's really weird. They don't fear pirates. It's like, well, pirates are customers too, or they kind of have strong bodyguards who don't fear pirates. And it's like, that's probably it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I do love. Usopp starts freaking out, and then and then Sanji's like, "What's so bad about that? We're customers too."
It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
And as soon as they make land, Luffy and Usopp run off.
Of course, as is typical.
Yeah, but they got Nami with them this time. So we got our group here where they need to find a guy named Iceberg and give him the introductory letter from Kokoro, and he'll help arrange to get the ship fixed. But also they need to find a place where they can exchange the gold they got from Skypiea into cash. So we have our goals here. And yep. I don't know, there's something about Nami's outfit for this one that I really like. Just the shirt and tie with the skirt.
Yeah, it's a good combo.
Yeah, it's unique. It feels unique. And we make it there and just we get introduced. It's time for a little introduction about what the heck this town's all about.
Yeah.
Because we get to the shipbuilding factory in Dock 1 where we have Mikazuki the pirate.
Mikazuki means crescent moon, which is why he's got a crescent moon on his hat.
Of course.
Yeah.
And this pirate with a 36 million berry bounty on his head says, yeah, I thought it over. And you know what? I know you just fixed the ship. That price seems too high. I refuse. Yep. I'm not paying anything. And we actually get introduced to Iceberg and looks like his assistant, Khalifa.
Yeah.
Iceberg has very strange hairstyle, very strange lips, I gotta say.
Yeah, he's I think this joke comes across better in the anime, both in the Japanese and in the dub, where he kind of has this it's like a particular kind of intonation, his humph. Is kind of I think in the dub they kind of have it like a or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a very subtle but a very specific kind of speech tick that he has. Yeah, and he's got a little mouse buddy in his shirt pocket.
I like his little mouse buddy. It's cool.
Yeah.
We also kind of get Khalifa's little quirk here just from this little bit. It's like, the customer is refusing to pay for repairs. It's sexual harassment.
It's a very 2004 joke. I think it sucks.
Yeah, I'm like,
that's all I'm really gonna say on that. It doesn't age well.
It just sort of didn't land for me. It's just like, okay, whatever.
Well, I think she stops doing it at a certain point. But yeah, definitely in her early scenes here, that's basically all she does is call everything sexual harassment, which is uncomfortable if you think about it for more than 2 seconds.
Yeah, that has some bad implications. Yeesh.
Yep.
They sort of warn him, is like, it's not a good idea to annoy craftsmen. And at that moment, some craftsman who was turning around just like smashes him in the back of the head, smashing his helmet.
Yeah, I love that even the little crescent moon breaks.
And they're like, "Oh, sorry." And then somebody's calling out, "It's like, watch where you're going." All of a sudden, a saw comes down. It's like, "Oh, sorry." And they're like, "Oh, you're picking a fight." And all of a sudden, all the craftsmen have their tools out, and massive explosions. And they're all wiped out.
Well, I love that it's one of the craftsmen is just like, hey, did you test fire that cannon? So they're just like making up as many excuses as they can to just beat up on these bothersome pirates.
And we got some really interesting designs here. I
love these characters. This is the Galley Law Company is what they're called.
Yes, and we got like glasses guy with a shotgun. Guys with beards, guy holding what looks to be, I think, a shovel with a pigeon with a bow tie around his neck, which is fun. Guy with a bullseye and smoking, kind of smoker-ish. Guy with a long nose and ball cap.
Kind of has the same face as Smoker too.
A little bit. Guy looks like kind of like a panda or koala, tilting his head. Guy with wings on his chest for a tattoo. Clown. Like,
I know. Yeah, the clown guy. I know. Like, probably a good, maybe a third to half of these designs, I feel like don't really show up ever again. But just kind of collectively as a group, like they're all badass.
Yeah, there's something really cool about each of them.
Yeah.
And they just completely take out these pirates, no issue. So that's the sort of craftsman we're working with here. And boy, that's a good ground to find a new carpenter for the crew if they're that strong.
Yeah, seriously.
That's usually a good sign if they're strong.
Yeah, and God, 36 million berries is not nothing. I mean, it's not huge, but
no,
they just completely
bigger than Luffy's initial bounty.
Yeah,
but. Yeah.
And they just said, nah, that doesn't fly here.
No, that's not going to work. We do get an SPS, and nothing too major. Just somebody was curious about the other, like, what would Luffy look like in the other wigs displayed there? And we got, Sailor Moon Luffy, we got Feudal Lord Luffy, Greaser Luffy, and Old Man Luffy. And it's like,
I definitely wouldn't have noticed the Sailor Moon wig because you only see half of it in the panel.
Yeah, I completely missed it. And I just watched all of Sailor Moon with my girlfriend.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's super silly, but not quite the menace of the afro.
Oh, yeah. The afro is more powerful than them all.
Of course. All right. Chapter 324, Adventures in the City of Water, where Katatsu needs to stand on the ground while he digs.
It still sucks.
It's stupid. It's why I'm not focusing any time on it. It's just dumb.
Just nothing to really grasp onto.
And we get into the chapter itself. It's like, all right, let's find the money exchange first, because probably not a good idea to wander around with all this gold in a sack on a cart. Let's get it in bills. That way, it's a little easier to hang on to our money. There's a lot of talk about trust and like how nobody trusts Luffy to hold on to this top.
Absolutely. I mean, I love they're just like, don't you guys trust me? No.
And then they come across a rental bull shop and they're like, what? You rent a bull? Like, what does that mean? And Luffy's like, I want to rent one.
Right. Find out what it is first.
Yeah. He's like,
and then God, I love the conversation on the bottom of the page here.
How many people? 3. All right, which bull do you want? We got these ranks, and he's like, I guess 2 of the Yagura ranks will be fine. I was like, all right, fine, grill them up.
Right. They're just like, what is happening here?
It's like, no. You don't eat them. You ride them, because you got a fish called a yagura that swims with its head out of the water. And there's more water passages than actual roads in this city. So for residents, actually using a bull to ride around in is what's needed. So that's our mode of transport. Basically like a horse of the sea. And
Yeah, like a seahorse.
yeah. And it's not too bad. It's not too expensive either. 2,000 berries for two rentals.
Yeah.
Which seems pretty reasonable.
I guess it would have to be cheap if you have to use them to get around.
Yeah, exactly. And the guy just is very helpful and whatnot. And Luffy's like, oh, can you handle this heavy load? He's like, oh, it's definitely strong. You could even use it to move a house or move house. So all that. And he's like, oh, what's inside there? Treasure. You're funny. Oh, no, it's treasure. And he's like, oh, I'll take some.
You're right. And then, of course, Luffy gets reprimanded for saying, hey, don't flaunt it like that.
It's like, not making it'll have any less. And then immediately the guy's like, yeah, that'll be 1 million berries for the two bulls.
Of course, yeah.
And Nami gets directions on where the currency exchange is. So we got to go up to the main street of the shipbuilding island. So off we go with Luffy and the treasure and Nami and Usopp on the other one. And
they really shouldn't have left him with the treasure.
They're probably a bad idea, but I don't know. There's something cool about this. Like it maybe doesn't have the amazing, like out of this world quality of Skypiea, but just seeing an actual city going in between all these waterways, going up the water, how the bulls work. I don't know, something cool about it.
This is basically the most advanced society we've seen in One Piece up to this point, right? Like,
I think so.
Between once you got to the Grand Line, we had like Skype, or we had Alabasta. They were a very kind of standard desert community. And while like Skypiea was very technologically advanced in some ways, like it was, I guess, just like so far removed. But here we just have this is just a place on the Grand Line that technically, if you survive, anybody could get to.
Yeah. It just, if you end up that way, and the Yagras are so smart that they actually don't listen to them and take them directly to the shopping area. And it's I don't know, it's just kind of cool, but they also start seeing some strangeness. I forget the significance of this, where they just start seeing all these people in masks, and they're like, must be some sort of party going on. And I'm like, what is the importance of that? I don't remember.
I remember.
Oh boy.
We'll be seeing more and more of that.
Oh boy. And Luffy, of course, finds a stand, and he's like, there's some water meat, even though it's people food, but the Yagaras like it. And Luffy tries to bite, and it's just dripping with water, it looks like. But he's like, oh, it's so tender.
It kind of sounds gross, honestly.
Yeah.
Just like having meat doused in water. But I guess if it's soft, then I don't know, put some seasoning on it.
I guess it's, I don't know. But yeah, we see these masked people around, and it just seems freaky.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something ominous about seeing them,
Yeah, they're just kind of I guess because they're just so stiff. They're so still. Like they're not, there is like a I think they mentioned it.
I think later they mentioned there's a party.
Yeah. But even still, like they're not like woo fun kind of like festival masks. They're very kind of a little creepy.
Yeah, just a little bit. But in order to get to the main street, they have to take the Watergate elevator. And it basically works like a canal. They go in, they seal it off, they raise up the water, and up they go to a higher level. Yeah,
seeing all this technology just all together at once it's just been incredible.
Yeah. And then we go back to the ship where it's just we find out it's just Sanji and Zoro, because Robin and Chopper decided to go shopping in Water 7, and Sanji's immediately like, I'm stuck on board with you. That is really boring. Fine. Yeah, I'm going to go do some shopping. You guard the ship. And Zoro immediately falls asleep.
Of course.
But we move over, we go back. Now we got an update on where everybody else is. And we get to the shipbuilding center. It's just, again, these massive gears, how big the fountain is. The scale for Oda in some of his locations are just unbelievable.
I guess that's the other thing too. Like, this is the first like big city that we've ever been to.
I think
in
so.
the story. Yeah. Like, again, we had Alabarna, but even that feel like it kind of pales in comparison to how big this is.
Yeah. Yeah. This is definitely bigger than Alabarna. But that's when they hear about the shipbuilders and how they recently took out some pirates. And we get some names. We get Lucci is the guy that had the pigeon on his shoulder.
Yep.
Some guy named Paulie. Lulu is the guy with the glasses and the mustache. And then we got Tilestone as one of the bearded guys. And just
Tilestone is a sick name.
Yeah, Tilestone is really good. And they're just like, hey, what's going on? It's like, oh, pirates tried to make trouble and the carpenters beat them up. And Luffy's like, they beat up the pirates? Wow.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, the residents love the galley log shipwrights. They're strong, they're skilled, they're pride of Water 7. And Luffy's like, oh, I can't wait to actually meet them. And then all of a sudden we go back to Zoro and he's getting attacked.
Yeah, just already.
Randomly getting attacked. And it's like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah. Here we go. Already more new characters.
Yep. What a way to interlace that where we got like,
things are moving, by the way.
The wonder of this city with all of a sudden he's getting attacked for no apparent reason.
Yeah, we've basically been in Water 7 for like this will be our third chapter. It feels like there's so much happening.
Yeah.
Already.
And well, chapter 325, the Franky family. And okay, I'm hoping Gatatsu next week leads to something interesting because he struck upon something. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is. Yeah.
But please be something interesting and not the
usual
joke.
God, it feels like the last 5 cover stories have just been like nothing.
Yeah. We're on volume 11. It feels like nothing of consequence.
Oh my God. Nothing has happened.
Nope. Not at all. But we pick up with Zoro getting attacked by this group, and they actually know that he is Pirate Hunter Zoro. They are bounty hunters, the Franky family, and we get some of the strangest designs. Like,
God, they're all so weird. I love them.
Yeah, the guy in front is probably the most normal, even though he's wearing like tights. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got like fishnet leggings and like Astro Boy boots.
Yeah, he's like Dr. Frankenfurter combined with Astro Boy. Yeah, right. And then the big guy in the back where he's just all wide, no neck.
I don't even think he's wearing a shirt. Like he's just got like a bow tie on directly on his skin.
Yeah, and straps. I don't know. They don't look cool for sure, but they are certainly some of the wackiest designs.
Oh boy, Zoro's been attacked by fetishists.
But they're like, hey, we're going to take your head for 60 million. We'll be rolling in dough. And it's our lucky day. And Zoro's like, no, it's your unlucky day.
Yeah,
he
stops him with one sword. Oh,
it's just, yeah, you're not doing anything.
Of course, they were no match for Zoro.
No, he tosses him in the water, calls him useless, goes back to sleep.
Yep. I was like, oh, that was weird.
Uh-huh. And then we get to check in what Robin and Chopper are up to. And okay, Robin's outfit might be my favorite in the series.
I think oh man, there are some good ones. So I don't know if I'm willing to make that, but this is definitely like one of the most iconic ones.
Yeah, like
this is like the Robin outfit.
I'm sorry, this looks good.
It's a good look.
This might also be a reason Robin's my favorite.
She's the classy one.
Yeah, like we've commented on this, but I don't know, something about it just works.
No, that's as a fellow Robin enjoyer, I am right there with you.
But they get to go together and check out all these shops, and Chopper's like, wow, a shop full of faces. Like, oh, it's a mask maker, and I've seen people walking around on. It's like, oh, I thought they would just had funny faces.
Yeah,
I like the innocence of that.
Yeah, there's something really adorable too. Like Robin and Chopper kind of being together, I think is not a combination you see very often. And I don't know, there's something very just kind of like, it's kind of like a mom and child almost.
Yeah, I like this pairing. And you're right.
Yeah.
It's the first time I think we've gotten this one. Which, man, I love these all the way they changed these up. And she lets us know that at San Faldo, another island on the train sea route, that's where a costume festival is being held.
Right.
And she's like, wow, how do you know that? And she's like, well, I heard people on the street talking about it. And it's a habit. Ever since I was little, I've observed people's moods and listened to them talk. And you know what? That's also a little bit of a indicator of like the kind of life she's led, but it also ties into her power. Like I can just imagine her popping up ears all over town to listen into all these things. And it explains why she's always the information person when it comes to the movies.
And she's always the one just kind of sitting back and listening while everybody else does the kind of all of the wacky stuff. But I feel like even knowing what we know now, like she was an assassin in a dangerous criminal organization. So the fact that she eavesdrops on people, I think, is not a huge stretch.
No, that feels perfectly in character for her and sort of explains it. And I love how she points out, this reminds me of me as I was a kid. It's like, oh, there's a bookstore over there. It's like, really? Can I go in? Yeah, let's go. But as she's walking and just actually enjoying herself, some person in a checkerboard pattern and a eyeless mask just says, I'm with CP9. And it just keeps walking and it just leaves her shaken.
Robin just starts sweating. It just breaks out in a cold sweat like,
like, what the heck is CP9?
Yeah.
Like this, her past is like, I think it's safe to say at this point, this feels like Robin's arc. Like it's making it very apparent that it's time to learn more about her.
Pretty much. I mean, ever since Algeji showed up and just started being like, she's more trouble than she's worth, guys. I don't know about that one. But yeah, even like that's all it takes. And while like Chopper just goes shopping, comes back out and is like, where'd Robin go?
Where's all that? That's weird, man. It's so interesting from that Robin perspective where it's like we had her as a villain for one arc, we had her on the crew for one arc, but really not knowing anything about her. And then we get now it seems like we're finally learning about her after 200 chapters.
Yeah. This is Oda playing the long game. And this one's going to be satisfying.
But they have successfully made it to a currency exchange, and Luffy is just screaming 100 million berries. It's like, shut up, you idiot. People are here. It's like, you're going to give us that much in cash? Shut up, Luffy. And everybody's leaning at the door listening in.
Right. We're going to have to mug these people.
And the guy's looking is like, it's certainly worth that much. Historical value, its purity, amazing gold. And they're like, man, we'll really be able to fix up the Mary at that point. They're all into it. And it's like, oh, if you agree to the price, I'll go prepare the money. And all of a sudden...
And then, this...
Nami.
This is great. This is so good.
I love when it comes to Nami and money. It's just funny.
The way that she just like slowly lifts her leg up and then smacks it down on the table.
Yeah. 3 things. This guy has a bounty of 100 million on his head. 2, I don't agree with your appraisal. 3, if you lie again, I'll scalp you. It's like, jeez.
And then just you turn the page and they're like, 300 million! Yeah!
300 million berries. They finally have some cash. And everybody's all happy. They get it into 3 separate suitcases, complimenting Nami. Just like, she's like, yeah, I had an idea of what it was offered. And when he only went with 100 million, that wasn't going to fly. And it's definitely going to take advantage of softies like you. And Luffy's just swinging around and all of a sudden launches it towards the water. And Nami and Usopp immediately dive after it. And he catches it with his rubber arm. He's like, oh. Oops.
Yeah, of course. And then, of course, they just beat the snot out of him.
And I love how they're both like, I'm going to punch you. I'm going to break your teeth. And his teeth are already broken and his he's already punched. Oh, God.
You don't trust him with money.
Just don't. They forbid Luffy from carrying the money. It's all with Usopp and Nami. So they're like, hey, we're not going to head back to the ship. Let's just head straight to the shipwrights now. Then we'll have to return to the ship because we need to get an estimate on it. So let's head over that way. Oh wait, there's water cakes. Let's buy 1,000.
Don't.
Oh God!
Oh, you cannot trust that. Cannot trust that boy with money.
Yeah, Luffy and money do not mix. It does it does not work. But they make it to the shipbuilding factory, and the crowd earlier is gone. Now they need to find Iceberg, and Luffy just goes in and starts calling about it, and it's like calling out. And all of a sudden, the guy with the ball cap and the long nose shows up. Is like, oh, hey, you're an outsider? Let's actually talk outside, since only authorized personnel are allowed in the factory. And this is Kaku. And they're all shocked because, are you Usopp? He's like, no,
right,
no.
Because
This man's
he's got
nose
a
is
square
square.
nose. Yes, which just a best guess on what Kaku means.
Oh, is it square?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
Or I
amazing.
think like angle, and just you can add a number onto it.
It's honestly a pretty fun design. The hat.
Yeah,
and
no,
the
Kaku's a
giant neck.
big favorite of mine. Yeah.
That's cool. Nami's like, we want to see Iceberg, and she's like, oh, and he's like, oh, it's an introductory letter at Shift Station. And Luffy immediately asks, like, are you middle aged? Which there must be something in the way he talks in the Japanese, because
Oh, absolutely.
he's like, oh, I am, but 23, which is funny. It's like, you talk old.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm told that often. So we certainly getting some interesting speech patterns that were don't translate well.
Yeah, it's that's the thing in Japanese. It's really easy to like. You can tell a lot about a person by the way they talk when it comes to just like I guess we think of speech patterns in a very kind of like regional way, but like the language is malleable enough that like you can tell somebody's gender, their age, and just like all sorts of like personal details, even kind of down to like the way that they write different personalities in fiction can come like there's a very easy way to just be like, this character speaks in this specific way that nobody else does. And so yeah, it doesn't. I see them that they try it the way it's like, I am but 23. I'm told that quite often. Like you see it a little bit. God, that's another touch I really like from the dub, because I think they give them just like a slight little like I don't know, from my memory it feels like kind of like a not quite a southern accent, but kind of like a little bit of a twang. You know?
Okay.
Kind of like a humble old Texas man.
Yeah. Cool. But we get some more details on Iceberg, because Iceberg is actually the mayor of Water 7 and also the president of the Galley Law Company and manages the sea train.
I love all of that, and Kokoro's just like, yeah, go see that guy.
Yeah. Here's a recommendation. Sure.
Yeah. She's got connections.
Mm-hmm. He's like, well, he's very busy, but if you're here to discuss ship repairs, so where did you dock? Oh, over there, basically. It's like, okay, I'll jot on over and assess the condition of the ship. That way things will go faster when you actually speak to Iceberg, and you can discuss the cost. And Usopp's like, jot over? But you mean on the Yagra? He's like, oh, if I did that, you have to wait forever. Just give me 10 minutes. And he takes off his little belt of tools and just dashes off like a bullet, and jumps off that huge building and just, is kind of amazing. And that's when Iceberg actually shows up.
Kaku's been playing Tears of the Kingdom, I see.
Yeah.
It's the way that he falls. It's just like, yeah.
He is called Mountain Wind, and he's able to just jump off that, land on a building, and just keep going. And that's how we end. It was just this crazy introduction to Kaku. Is like,
just some of the coolest parkour you've ever seen.
We're getting a lot of potential shipmates. Like that's the fun here. We know we need a carpenter. We're probably going to get a carpenter by the end of this.
And all these folks are like super strong, and they all have cool designs and interesting talents.
So like, which ones are going to be? I don't know. I do like how the SBS this time, as we finish things off, somebody's asking, how did Luffy lift the snake's eyelid when he's inside the snake?
Didn't we ask the same question?
I think so. And it's like, it was fun. That's all, as long as it's fun as anything works. It's just like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Just even bringing Luffy in to be like, don't worry about it.
Mm. And then they have like basically a dick joke at the very
end. It's like, this is a dick joke. That's what this is.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's for the other one, changing the name of the tornado tempo.
So the thing, I don't know if I'm going to be able to explain this. So the difference when you're writing in katakana, the difference between like a te and a chi is basically like one line. You can change it from one to the other, one little stroke. And I remember hearing, I think this might be in an SBS way down the line, I think is where I heard this. That was while they were recording for the anime, that was a prank that Luffy's voice actress pulled on Nami by adding a little line to the script so that it read as Tornado Chimpo.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's fun. Speaking of fun, God, I love this. Like we're only 4 chapters in, but it just has this excitement to it in a way that I didn't
does,
get
yeah.
from Long Ring, Long Land. Like, that was
Yeah,
just sort
I
of
mean, it definitely was sort of
wacky.
like it was wacky, but this is proper One Piece.
Yeah.
Perhaps the most proper One Piece. I mean, I feel bad. I've been hyping this arc out so much, but it is genuinely my favorite. And we'll see, like, even just from these first 4 chapters alone, there's like, I don't know, maybe like a half a dozen, maybe even up to a dozen different little plot threads all happening at once. In the way that, like, I guess because, like, whenever we started other One Piece arcs, it's like the crew kind of, they split off, but they come back together fairly quickly, and there's not that many different kind of like threads to follow. But this one feels so intricately plotted that there's so many different characters and motivations, and like everybody's constantly moving all of the time. And I think this is the first like really intricately plotted One Piece arc, and it is just
Yeah.
is one of my favorites for that aspect, and we'll continue to see as it goes on why it is my favorite.
Yeah, as you said, it's like there's so many little things here and there, and you wouldn't even pick up on it the first time. Like maybe certain things you may pick up like half of them, not realizing the other half is also like massive in a way.
Yeah, and that's the best part is like when you're just like, this is dense, and there's like we acknowledged like that line from Kokoro earlier about like, oh yeah, there's like a government train, and you're just kind of like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're like, I definitely didn't catch that. I think even while I was rewatching the anime version, I don't think I had paid that any mind, and then I'm like, oh wait.
Yeah.
Just like little like throwaway lines like that can just like, oh, there it is. That's
Yep.
this will come up later.
I'm excited to get to it. We're going to be here a while, but I'm excited to get to it.
Yeah,
So,
settle in.
Yep. But with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 321 to 325 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. I've swore to vow not to spoil Zelda really at all. So I've been trying to avoid talking about it as much as I can.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, just I don't even want to kind of tease at the things. Like, it's just, you know what, if you're playing it, just enjoy it. You know, I'll come back when everybody's done and be like, that was good. That's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like I mentioned at the top of the show, I got to work on Star Wars, so I'll be talking about that when that comes out in a few months, and I've just got other various little fun things and surprises in store. So
yeah, very cool. And if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 326 to 330 of One Piece. Until then, my friends, bye.
remember to take life one piece at a time.
I think we found your bookstore.
Oh, really? Can we go inside now?
Of course. Be my guest.
Today is the best day ever!
CP9.